The dwarf planet Pluto has 5 known moons. These moons are named Charon, Nix, Hydra, Kerberos, and Styx. They're all named for characters related to the underworld in Greek and Roman mythology. Pluto's moon system is believed to have formed after a collision between it and another Kuiper Belt object early in the solar system's history. The collision caused a bunch of material to be ejected. This material later coalesced and came together to form the moons. This is supported by similarities in the orbits of the moons, especially since they're assumed to orbit on roughly the same plane and they orbit in the same direction. This makes it seem pretty unlikely that they were other objects that Pluto captured into orbit around it. The moons are also in an orbital resonance with one another. For every time Charon orbits once, Hydra completes a sixth of an orbit, Kerberos a fifth, Nix a fourth, and Styx a third. This means the orbits of the 4 smaller moons are in a 6:5 to 4:3 ratio with one another, so they all pass each other periodically. Come along as we take a closer look at the moons of Pluto. Charon was discovered in June of 1978 by James Christie and Robert Harrington at the U.S. Naval Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. The discovery occurred just about 6 miles from where Pluto was discovered at the Lowell Observatory. The discovery was entirely accidental. Christie and Harrington were trying to refine Pluto's orbit around the sun, not search for any moons. Christie noticed some photos of Pluto that were strangely elongated. A weird blob seemed to move around Pluto. The direction of this elongation cycled over a period of about 6.39 Earth days, which is how long it takes Pluto to rotate once. So Christie looked through archives of images of Pluto and he found even more where it appeared elongated. Additional images further confirmed that he had just discovered the first known moon of Pluto. Initially, Christie wanted to name the moon after his wife Charlene. Char comes from her name and he added on to make it sound more scientific or Greek. It was only later that he discovered a huge coincidence. Charon, although they would have pronounced it differently, is the name of the ferryman in Greek mythology who brings souls to the afterlife. Charon is the largest of Pluto's moons. At half the size of Pluto itself, it is the largest known satellite relative to its parent body's size. The two are mutually tidally locked to one another. The same faces of each one are always turned to the other, and Charon is only visible from one hemisphere of Pluto. Because of this, Charon orbits and rotates once every 6.4 Earth days. Charon is about 754 miles across and orbits 12,200 miles from Pluto. The two are often referred to as a double dwarf planet system because Charon is so large that both of them actually orbit a point in space between one another called the barycenter. Charon's color is mostly gray, although its northern pole has a reddish tint. The majority of its surface is covered in water ice. The red region is likely made up of shredded pieces of Pluto's atmosphere. The relatively low reflectivity of Charon's surface suggests that darker materials such as cometary dust might be present. The surface of Charon is surprisingly young. This could mean that it once housed an ocean in its interior, but that ocean probably isn't there anymore since it would have frozen up a very long time ago. Nix and Hydra were discovered in June of 2005 by Hal Weaver and a large team of astronomers using the Hubble Space Telescope. The team was taking pictures of Pluto and the area of space around it in preparation for the New Horizons mission. Of the two, Nix is closer to Pluto, while Hydra is further away. In fact, Hydra is the outermost moon of Pluto. Both are roughly 5,000 times fainter than their parent body, and they're about 2 to 3 times further away from it than Charon. Nix is estimated to be about 26 miles wide and 22 miles long. Hydra, meanwhile, is estimated to be about 34 miles long. Hydra's unusual shape suggests that it might have formed from 2 smaller bodies merging together. It also has at least 2 large craters. Interestingly, Nix has a surprisingly large crater. This means it was either very lucky to survive the impact that made this crater, or it's a fragment of an older moon that was somehow destroyed. Hydra spins once every 10 hours, and it orbits every 38 days. This means it rotates 89 times per orbit, which is extremely fast. If it were spinning much faster than it already is, a lot of material would fly off of it because of the centrifugal force. All the other moons rotate between 6 and 10 times every orbit, which is still pretty fast for moons, but not nearly as fast as Hydra. Nix is interesting because it's tilted on its axis by about 132 degrees, and it also spins backwards. Like the other moons, both take their names from Greek mythology. Nix is the Greek goddess of darkness and night, and also the mother of Charon. Hydra is a 9-headed serpent slain by Hercules, and it's sometimes said to have guarded the underworld. Kerberos was discovered on June 28, 2011 by a large team led by Mark Showalter using the Hubble Space Telescope. Telescope. It was confirmed in subsequent images taken on July 3rd and 18th of that same year. It wasn't seen in earlier images from Hubble because the exposure times were shorter. There's a chance it appeared as a faint smudge in images from 2006, but it might have been overlooked because it was obscured. Prior to New Horizons' visit to the Pluto system, scientists used images from Hubble to weigh Kerberos by measuring its gravitational influence on the other moons. It was surprisingly strong for how faint the moon was. They theorized that Kerberos was relatively large and massive, but it was just hard to see because it was made of or covered in dark material. But then New Horizons imaged the moon and it turned out to be both smaller and brighter than expected. It's not fully understood why the expectations and reality for Kerberos were so different. Kerberos has a sort of double-lobed shape. Its larger lobe is about 5 miles across and the smaller is around 3 miles. Like Hydra, it could have been formed when two smaller objects merged together. Kerberos is located between the orbits of Nix and Hydra. It takes its name from the three-headed dog of Greek mythology that prevents the dead from leaving the underworld. Styx was discovered on June 26, 2012 by a team led by Mark Showalter using the Hubble Space Telescope. It was uncovered during a survey for potential hazards in advance of New Horizons' visit to the Pluto system in July of 2015. Styx is estimated to be between 6 and 15 miles across. It orbits 58,000 miles from Pluto, and it's roughly on the same plane as all of the other moons. Styx is named after the mythological river that separates the world of the living from the realm of the dead. Scientists expected the New Horizons spacecraft to reveal new moons around Pluto. After all, it wouldn't be out of the question that there were some that just hadn't been seen from Earth because they were too faint and far away. But alas, no new moons were uncovered. Instead, New Horizons discovered the 4 smaller moons are a bit chaotic. It's unclear why they rotate so fast. In theory, Pluto's gravity should have slowed them down by now, but only Charon is tidally locked. This has led to some speculation that there's just a lot about Pluto and its moons that we just don't understand yet. It's nice to know that our little buddy Pluto is not all alone out there in the far reaches of the solar system. It may not be the 9th planet anymore, but hey, it has more moons than half of the planets, so it's got that going for it. I hope you enjoyed learning about the moons of Pluto, even if there wasn't a whole lot to hear about. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a good day.